Centaur, your kind of company.
Tonight on Ctv3 News, former Minister John Saldivar is barred from entering the U.S. He is accused of significant corruption. The former Belmopan area representative says the claims are unfounded. Yazir Baiza remains missing. His family now fears the worst. And the BSCFA challenges comments made by BSR-ESR. Its membership also passed 5 resolutions. One of them calls on GOB to intervene in the negotiations for a new commercial agreement. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast for Tuesday, November 15th, 2022.
Ever since I was a kid, I dreamt of going to Mars. You can keep my dream alive.
Come with me. You cannot, under any circumstances, leave my room, okay? Only for 35 days.
Enjoy your favorite HBO original series and movies with Centaur, your kind of company.
Do you want quick cash for your gold? Then take advantage of Monica's Pawn Shop's big loans on gold and our guaranteed low rate of only 10% on all pawn jewelry. But it doesn't stop there. We also pawn TVs, buy scrap gold, and pawn vehicles that you can still drive. Visit Monica's Pawn Shop today in our Belize City location at number 128 Cemetery Road, our Belmopan location at number 5 Garden Plaza, our Orange Walk location, number 2 Belize Carazal Road. Give us a call at 207-0970 and get more money for your gold jewelry.
Everyone, including our elderly, needs to stay connected with their loved ones. With Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program, senior citizens can sign up for 10 megabytes of unlimited internet at a low monthly cost of $25. Citizens over 65 can sign up with a valid ID and receive free installation plus 1 month free on selected broadband plans. Visit a Smart showroom near you for more information on how you can enjoy Smart's Golden Citizen broadband program. Smart, bringing people together.
Good evening with your news, also simulcast on Face FM 106.7. I am Joanna Rodriguez. Today, Belize joined the small list of countries with persons designated under the U.S. Department of State Foreign Operations and Related Programs Appropriations Act 2022, Section 7031C. Former Minister of Government and Belmopan Area Representative John Birchman Saldivar, 55, is accused of significant corruption, specifically accepting bribes for the improper acquisition of Belizean immigration documents and interfering in public processes for his personal benefit during his tenure as a government official, per a State Department statement from spokesperson Ned Price. Additionally, he is accused of misusing a U.S.-donated Coast Guard boat for his personal gain. Acts of corruption such as these undermine Belize's institutions, processes, and public faith in governance. This is based on credible information provided to the department, and the phrase encompasses the nature of the corrupt acts and potential impact on Washington's interest. Per a fact sheet issued by the U.S. Embassy Belmopan accompanying the official notice, designations are not time limited. As a general matter, when an individual is designated under Section 7031C, that individual will be ineligible for a visa to travel to the United States indefinitely. However, Section 7031C contains exception and waiver provisions that may permit an individual to travel under certain circumstances. The designation does not result in the imposition of any financial sanctions per the embassy. As for whether his actions specifically harmed or violated American or Belizean interest, the embassy maintains that corruption inflicts substantial costs upon a country's economy, society, and security. Corruption stunts much needed foreign investment and foreign assistance, facilitates organized crime, drives migration, and undermines rule of law and citizens' faith in their government. Corruption in a foreign country directly impacts U.S. national security, economic and foreign policy interests, and those of our partner nations. Corruption undermines democracy and good governance. Additionally affected are his immediate family members, his wife and 3 children, including a minor. The State Department said it generally does not discuss sanctions, but that Section 7031C requires the designation once credible information has been received, and that the announcement may be public or private. And today, John Saldivar was quick to respond to the U.S. Department of State designation. In a Facebook post, Saldivar states, and we quote, "The actions of the United States Department of State today designate me as a corrupt official due to bribery in immigration matters is completely out of left field, baseless, and malicious. As a minister of government, I have conducted myself with absolute probity and integrity. I am at a loss as to why the State Department would want to target me and my family, and without providing absolutely any evidence to explain their conclusion. No due process has been observed, no contact has been made with me, no evidence has been provided to me, but the mighty United States has chosen to impugn my character and malign my reputation. I cannot begin to guess what or who may be behind these malicious allegations, and who could be so powerful to get the State Department to invoke such a declaration. I am consulting with local attorneys, fully cognizant that I will need a U.S. attorney to fight the United States if so I wish. I am also consulting regarding recourse for my wife and children who have been maliciously persecuted by this action. Some person or persons want me out of Belizean politics, and they seem to have powerful allies in the United States State Department. There will be those who will rejoice at this without any regard to the fact that absolutely no evidence has been presented. But I will not allow these unfounded and malicious allegations to drive me out of politics. My resolve is even stronger now." End of quote. An impasse remains tonight between the Belize Sugarcane Farmers Association and BSI-ASR as it pertains to the signing of a new commercial agreement. In the hopes of reaching a compromise, both sides have agreed to bring in an independent mediator into the ring under the recommendation of the Bersani administration. But identifying the right person for the job has proven to be extremely difficult. When we last spoke to the BSCFA, its chairman of the Committee of Management, Alfredo Ortega, indicated that BSI-ASR was dragging its foot and was unwilling to come to the table to select the mediator. Then we heard from BSI-ASR's VP of International Relations, Mac McLachlan, who told the media that while an agreement has been reached regarding the mediator, they were waiting on BSCFA to respond. Today, in what can only be described as a back-and-forth scenario, the BSCFA clarified that while both entities have agreed to a term of reference for the mediator, one is yet to be selected.
That is far from the truth. I think it is clear in the terms of reference, and at the point where we are, that we would have each submitted a list of possible nominees for the to be considered as mediator, and we are in the process of engaging in that, and that was our last communication with BSI to finalize the terms of reference which have been finalized and to begin that process, and we have spelled out the entire process how that mediation, the selection of the mediator would be undertaken. So, as I said, we are still awaiting the process of exchanging lists of nominees for consideration of the mediator.
While two of the most important stakeholders of the sugar industry spend time resolving their differences, the clock is ticking and the time for the running of the new crop season nears. But without a signed agreement, the BSCFA membership will be unable to deliver its product to the factory, hence the reason why the association is pushing for a resolution.
We want it clear, to be made clear, right, that we are intent on having an agreement signed before the crop commences. Okay, that has been our objective and our commitment since we started this negotiation process, and we have not deviated from that commitment and objective.
We want to finalize this because we want, whenever the starting period of the crop is declared, that we have already put away our differences. We started with this thing from since August last year. We have reached mid-November, and we are unable to finalize this thing. As they said, let us act in good faith. We're acting in good faith. Let us come to the table and finalize. And if that doesn't happen, well, we need the government to jump into this situation. Because the government is the one that have to see that an industry that many people are dependable on have the necessary recourse to move along. We are not looking forward into any stoppage, any blockage, nothing like that. We want this to finalize so that whenever they declare, we are prepared to start a crop, having signed an agreement that will benefit everybody.
The 2022-2023 crop season is set to commence the third week in December. With uncertainty lingering over one of the most important industries of Belize, the membership of the BSCFA has been keeping abreast of the negotiations, which really have been stagnant for some time now. At a special general meeting held on October 30th, Caneros of the BSCFA were informed about the current status of the negotiations, and based on that information, members of the 18 branches gave several mandates to their leaders under the umbrella of 5 resolutions. Today, the CEO of the BSCFA, Oscar Alonso, outlined those resolutions, including one that calls on GOB for intervention.
The first resolution is in relation to the commercial agreement. And it says, be it resolved that the BCFA requests the Prime Minister that in the event this mediation process fails, because we informed them of where we were, the government of Belize intervenes in order to have a commercial agreement signed between BCFA and BSI for the 2022-23 sugarcane crop. And be it further resolved that the BCFA requests the Prime Minister that the government of Belize declare that the 2022-23 sugarcane crop will only commence if there is a commercial agreement signed with all 4 associations. The second resolution has to do with informing our leaders, the persons responsible for the economic development of the country and also for the northern region, of what is really happening. This we have been requesting ever since the start of the negotiations with them, with BSI. And the resolution reads as follows. Be it resolved that the BCFA continue to request, I say the word continue because we have been requesting, continue to request the Prime Minister to provide the BCFA with the opportunity to present its proposals to the members of the entire cabinet without delay and at the earliest. The third resolution has to do with the development concession that is approved to BSI Belcogen. The membership passes resolution. Be it resolved that the BCFA demand that the government of Belize will consult with the BCFA in any consideration being given by the government of Belize to any application by BSR Belcogen ESR for any development concession for its business operations in Belize.
The fourth resolution deals with the withdrawal of BSI ESR's lawsuits against the BSCFA and 3 of its membership.
You will recall, right, that in January, February, we had informed you all that BSI had served lawsuits it had filed in the Supreme Court of Belize against the BCFA for losses, so-called losses it sustained for the period of the 4-day blockade, in which they couldn't milk, cane, and process sugar. And the financial losses that they were filing against us was for $1.1 million roughly. Belcogen also filed a lawsuit against BCFA for not being able to use the bagasse to produce electricity to sell to BEL under its contract with BEL. And for that, it was filing a claim of almost $600,000. So it is roughly for $1.6 million against the BCFA for those two things. What does this resolution read? Be it resolved that the BCFA urge the government of Belize to urgently resolve these lawsuits. If necessary, have BSI withdraw said lawsuits. Okay? The basis for this resolution is in the fact that at the time that we signed the agreement that extended the commercial agreement to July 31st, was that we had gotten a letter of indemnity from the Prime Minister, who committed that in the event of any legal action being taken against the BCFA, they would be responsible for any financial implications regarding those lawsuits.
And the fifth determination speaks on the revision of the Sugar Industry Act.
I think you're aware, right, that the government began a process to revise the Sugar Industry Act. And I think you're also aware that the government is facing an uphill struggle because powerful international economic transnational forces have BSI, Belcogen, ESR have put a constitutional challenge to certain sections in this act in the name of private investors, that they are private sector. So what is it that we have? The members have resolved. Say, be it resolved that the BCFA reiterates its support for the revision of the Sugar Industry Act and urge the government of Belize to finalize this process as soon as possible, addressing a particular section 61, which currently provides a monopolistic preference to BSI of 1.5 million tons of cane from cane farmers, and also establish an independent marketing committee or commission that will be responsible for the sale of sugar and molasses and electricity to the national grid. The BCFA further urges the government of Belize to ensure that in its revision of the Sugar Industry Act, SICB has the authority to continue to regulate the sugar industry.
We will have more on this morning's press conference further into the newscast. A man accused of scamming people for money through Facebook is out on bail after being charged this week. 22-year-old Julian Young was arraigned in the Belize City Magistrates Court on Monday on a single count of obtaining money transfer by deception in relation to $250 he received as a down payment for the purchase of a phone he never delivered. In court, Young was informed that due to the nature of his offense, he will not be able to make a plea in the first instance and that the prosecution was still sorting out if he would be charged summarily or indictment. Young was granted bail in the sum of $1,000 plus one surety of the same, which he met. He is due back in court on January 16, 2023. The complainant, 27-year-old Francisco Gabriel Majano, told police he saw a post made by a Facebook user selling the phone for $500 and made arrangements to deposit half of the money up front and the other half once the item had been received. Majano said he arranged a payment of the first half of the money on October 11th, but when checks were made at the agreed-upon airline cargo station, when it was made at the agreed-upon airline cargo station, the item never arrived. Majano then tried reaching back out to the Young via Facebook Messenger, but was unsuccessful, so he made a report to the police. As we told you at the top of the newscast, the BSCFA and the American Sugar Refinery Belize Sugar Industry Limited remain at odds over the signing of a new commercial agreement. One of the main points of contention is how revenue from the sale of sugar should be shared. This is the reason for the BSCFA's proposal to the millers that there be a 60-40 split in the gross revenue from sugar sales, with 60% going to the farmers and 40% to the millers. The new formula would exempt the farmers from paying any overall expense incurred by the factory. BSI-ASR is saying yes to the new formula, but in their own terms. The milling company says the 60-40 would not include revenues generated from the sale of direct consumption sugars. In other words, you don't invest, you receive no profit. BSI-ASR has also indicated that the BSCFA has been unable to provide a financial rationale behind the formula. Today, the BSCFA also challenged that comment.
That is a false statement. We presented to them in our last negotiation meeting the rationale, how the history has shown from 2006 up to 2021, last crop, how the value of the revenues that has been collected over the years for the sale of sugar and molasses has been decreasing. I don't understand what other kind of rationale they want to justify the proposal of BSCFA. The last statement they made on that regard is that they invest $60 million as an operation cost every year. Farmers also have an investment in the millions every year. In the last press conference, I mentioned some figures on how we as farmers, on an average of $27 on every ratoon of cane that is delivered, is an investment of the farmer on the production sector. On an average of $27. You add that the $30 average of harvesting and delivery, it arises to a close of $57 that the farmer invests every year. You put that in a volume of 1 million tons in production, that's $57 million on average that the farmers put every year. So hand in hand, they can't come and say that the farmers are not investing.
For the milling company observing $20 million and still having to pay cane farmers for DC sugars spells bankruptcy. But for the BSCFA, the company is making more than what is being reported. In
2017, they embarked in a $22 million investment for the increase in production of manufacturing allowance, DC sugar. They charged a manufacturing allowance on this service. The last process from a raw sugar to direct consumption sugar. That investment of $22 million, it is understood by anyone in the business. We understand that there should be a return of investment. But the return of investment should be in the same way that the farmer recovered the investment of the transformation in their equipment over the years in the service provided by such equipment. So in the service provided by that investment is the way they should obtain their return of investment. Not by collecting an extraordinary value of the process. Why I say this? Because an average cost of that process is $25 billion. I mentioned this the last time. They say that it cost them $40. We did another investigation recently, and the average standard in the industries is $10 US for that process. That's 20 Belize. That's a standard average in all industries for the process of direct consumption, raw sugar to direct consumption. That's the cost. So why are we paying $150? That is the concern we have as farmers. So this model that they are trying to defend, it serves them well. We understand why it's so difficult for them to release that, to let go that, because they have been so comfortable collecting $7-8 million on average for that $22 million they invested.
And this is why the BSCFA wants BSI ASR to provide them with proper documentation that verifies the accuracy of financial figures in statements given to them when they receive payment for sugarcane deliveries. While BSI has indicated that it is willing to give the farmers the right to audit its financial reports, which are presented in the form of a document known as a net strip value NSV statement, the farmers currently have no means of verifying the accuracy and relevancy of the statements. This is why the association has been asking for additional documentation and not just 3 sheets of financial reports.
One sheet, which is the NSV statement on which they base the price of sugar. This one sheet is based to convince us that $156 million, right, is received, and of that they take away so much, and of that, and of what left they pay us. One sheet, gentlemen. This is all that BSI gives us and has been giving us for decades in relation to the bagasse payment, where we have been asking for information regarding the operations of Belcogen. Again, gentlemen and ladies, all they give us is 3 sheets of paper. 3 sheets. The summary balance sheet statements, the summary income statement, and the summary cost of our statement. And that's a company that has made over $146 million over the past 10 years. Now, somebody talk about common sense from BSI. Huh? Somebody talk about common sense. Aren't we exercising common sense, the Belize sugarcane farmers, when it is saying, look, gentlemen, this is not enough. We need more detailed information for us to really accept what you're telling us, that that over the past 5 years you have been losing money.
Coming up next, a non-stop service between Belize and Honduras, courtesy of Tropic Air. Stay tuned.
What is Amnesty 2022? An opportunity for undocumented immigrants living in Belize. Belize wants to help you to live freely and continue contributing to those communities you and your family now call home by offering a pathway to permanent residency. Why should you apply? In doing so, you remove barriers and reduce the difficulties faced living as an undocumented immigrant. Applying is easy. Go online to www.immigration.gov.bz for more information. Find out if you qualify, how to apply, what documents you need, and how to book your appointment. Be prepared. The registration period will be from the 2nd of August to the 30th of November 2022. Belize Amnesty 2022. Let's continue to build Belize together.
LG dual inverter compressor cools air faster by operating at speeds as high as 120 Hz with more stability compared to conventional models. It also saves up to 70% more energy by operating at speeds as low as 10 Hz with more stability. It reduces torque vibration down to 40% for quiet outdoor unit operation. Stable operation with low vibrations also results in increased durability.
It has been almost 1 month since 20-year-old Yasser Baiza went missing. Search parties have combed areas in which he was last seen and even those he would frequent often, but to no avail. Baiza's disappearance has his family on edge, especially since they have been unable to find any clue that would pinpoint to his whereabouts. We here at Ctv3 News have been following this story ever since Baiza was first reported missing, and today when we contacted his mother, Perla Hoy, she told us they have received no leads and the cops have no new information on Baiza's case. Of note is that there is a bulletin with a reward that has been sent out for anyone that can provide credible information to the whereabouts of the 20-year-old Orange Walk resident. If you have any information that could lead to Baiza, you are asked to call your nearest police station or Crime Stoppers at 922-TIPS. Tourism is one of Belize's main economic pillars, generating over $1 billion in revenue. The industry is directly and indirectly responsible for 25% of the jobs in the country and is also the #1 foreign exchange earner. The COVID-19 genesis in Belize disrupted our already fragile economic environment. However, Belize is rebounding and splendidly. This is a fact check today as Tropic Air commenced non-stop twice weekly service between the Philip Coulson International Airport and Ramon Villeda Morales International Airport in San Pedro Sula, Honduras.
I must say that we've been a resilient industry. I was speaking to Mr. Schulte just a while ago, and he was telling me that how he has been impressed with the rebound because we've been ahead of a lot of our counterparts. And it has been a lot of hard work put in with people in the public sector and the private sector with true partnership. Like Mr. Schulte said, airlift into our country for the overnight sector is the lifeblood. We have put an inordinate amount of effort into building airlift into Belize, going to routes, going to the airlines headquarters to meet them, to talk to them, to pitch Belize, to provide incentives. And we promised 2 years ago that we will do everything possible to continue to build airlift.
Tropic Air was founded to bring tourists to San Pedro. Together with our partner hotels and the Belize Tourist Board, we've had great success in growing tourism in all of Belize. The airline industry is the door through which tourists arrive. Today, we are opening another door to San Pedro Sula to continue that growth.
To connect Belize more vividly as it develops regionally over the next 2 years.
The only difficulty we had was the timing of the flight. We needed to time it to connect with early flights in San Pedro Sula, both to Tegucigalpa and outside of the country. So it's an inconvenient time for the airport, but Honduras has always been friendly. It's always been a friend of Tropic Air. We've had many invitations to fly into Honduras from the government officials over the years. I remember many years ago, and I can't recall the name of the minister right now, but he came to a meeting here and he said, Tropic Air, you can fly anytime you want to Honduras. Don't need any paperwork, nothing. So no, they've always been friendly, and they're our neighbors, and there are many, many Honduran expatriates in Belize living here. We have a lot of intermarriage. There's a lot of diaspora on both sides of the border. I think it's a natural market for us.
So how often will this flight be going to Honduras?
Well, we'll start with 2 days a week. As soon as that fills up, we'll add 3, 4, 5 days. We have to build the market, and it's very expensive. So it'll probably be 2 years before we see any return on this. But you have to start somewhere. And we need to demonstrate to the people in Honduras, and particularly the airlines flying into Honduras, that we are there, we are capable, and we can haul people between the countries.
Today, on behalf of the government of Belize, Minister of Tourism and Diaspora Relations Anthony Mahler was at the inaugural flight ceremony. He explains how significant this flight is as it connects Belize to Central America.
We believe that regional travel can be a big part in terms of the inflows into Belize. These are small steps. We continue to do a lot of other work in terms of talking to additional airlines, but Tropic has been trendsetters, and so this is their 4th international flight, and we're proud of, very, very proud of that.
Do we expect to see some sort of influx of travelers from Honduras and the tourism industry get benefiting as a result?
Well, as I understand it, we have somewhere around 50 or 60,000 people here in Belize with Honduran connections, and so that is an important market for us. The same thing with El Salvador and other parts of Central America. Like I said, we believe that it could be a crucial part in terms of our growth and development for years to come. And so now we're focusing on Central America, Latin America, and then hopefully we can get something out of Europe pretty soon.
San Pedro Sula becomes Tropic's 2nd destination in Honduras, in addition to Roatan, and the 12th overall in its network. Service to San Pedro Sula will be one of Tropic's modern glass cockpit G1000 Cessna Caravan aircraft. These air-conditioned aircrafts are also equipped with radar, GPS navigation, and terrain mapping. Marlon Sutherland, the 12-year-old Orange-Roqueño who was diagnosed with fibroblastic osteosarcoma, in other words, bone cancer, a few weeks ago has begun chemotherapy. Marlon is receiving the costly treatment at the Unidad Nacional de Oncología Pediátrica in Guatemala. To assist Marlon's family in clearing some of the mounting bills over the weekend, his San Francisco RC School family here in Orange Walk Town came together to raise much-needed funds through a walk-run.
We had a fundraising drive on Saturday, November the 12th, and we call it Walk Run for Marlon. Marlon is one of our Standard 5 students who has recently been diagnosed with bone cancer. Presently, Marlon is in Guatemala. for his treatment. But going back to Saturday, indeed it was a very organized activity. The Walk for Marlon, we had the presence of the traffic department, we had the town council transport department, we had the police, and we have the paramedics from the hospital. Along with our teachers, we organized it, and we invited our San Francisco family. And I want to mention here that we invited our sister school, La Immaculada, to assist us with this fundraising drive. It was a big success, I would say. And at this point, I really appreciate the hard work of our teachers, the hard work of the people who contributed towards us, and the big hearts of the people who walked with us and walked for Marlon.
More than 300 persons attended the Walk Run for Marlon, and the funds gathered amounted to some $4,000.
The day before Marlon went to Guatemala, Marlon asked to visit us, to visit his school. So he was in our school, and we had a special assembly for him. It was so special because we did a prayer service where we pleaded to God for Marlon's health. Marlon was part of that prayer service. And there, the only words that Marlon begged to us is, "Pray for me." With that, our students were well driven into getting funds for Marlon. Our environment was Walk for Marlon. Everybody in school was talking Walk for Marlon. The idea of getting bands to sell, that was the first idea, to sell was good. But I think our teachers, our students, our family out there were getting not the correct message about these bands. We were not selling bands for $5. That is not the issue. We were getting contributions for Marlon. For whatever contribution you want to give to Marlon, that is the whole idea. And then as a gesture of appreciation, we give you a band. We had parents out there who took bands and distribute and get contribution for Marlon. We had a very nice population of people actually walking for Marlon. We had about 300 plus people walking for Marlon on that Saturday morning. We start the morning at 5:30 where our runners started, and then our walkers followed. Just today before you came, a parent just brought in some bands that he could not get the contributions for, but some contributions. So preliminary, we have about $4,000 that we need to put in for Marlon. I need to mention that part of this money has already been given. My idea is that I need to get in contact with the mom, because if there is any bill that needs to be paid within our town, I want to do that, and then the rest will go directly for them.
Vice Principal of San Francisco School, Percival Gideon, says Marlon's condition has allowed students, faculty, and staff of the institution to realize that cancer does not discriminate.
Here is where I realize how much our own children here, which forms the San Francisco family, care for one of our very own. Here is where you show love for somebody who belongs to your family. For me, as a leader in this school, it's open awareness. We need to educate children to be aware that cancer is amongst us. At one point, I thought that cancer would be only for women or for older folks, but now I realize it's among our very own little children. So this is the idea I sold to our sister school, La Immaculada, that we need to put our resources together, our strength together, our efforts together. So when cancer knocks at their door, we will be there for them as well.
Via text message today, Marlon's mother, Kimberly Oriana, confirmed that he has begun his chemotherapies and has one scheduled for November 23rd. For now, Marlon has lost some body mass and has been feeling under the weather. Doctors are yet to decide how long Marlon will undergo chemotherapy. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Wednesday, November 16th here on Ctv3 and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/ctv3belizenews or our YouTube channel at ctv3 News BZ. Remember to wash your hands and remain safe. From all of us here at Ctv3 News, thank you for watching and listening. Good night.